Indonesia's democracy is under threat. A slogan that everyone has been posting recently on social media, a picture of the Pancasila on top of a blue background and written underneath it, a state of emergency. But are we in a state of emergency though? As the Right Indonesian, we believe that we should always match our sentiments appropriate to the situation. And right now, the situation of our parliament is seeking ways to implement a law in 2 days. Damn right, you heard me. The Parliament of Indonesia is trying to design, formulate, and apply a law in a matter of 2 days. It is a political stunt that even puts Trump's ear into shame. It's a world record in Indonesia. Sexual violence law took 6 years to come into effect, and the omnibus law itself took 3 years. Meanwhile, the law that was put to annul the decision so that people would have more options to pick from in the regional elections, because nobody wants to vote for the batshit insane conspiracy theorist out of a GTA San Andreas in Jakarta. Here's the thing. People on the streets have been shouting out that democracy is dead, or say that our country is sick. We in the Right Indonesian beg to differ. Democracy is alive and well. In fact, this is indeed democracy in manifest. People say that a revolution needs to happen, and we in the Right Indonesian think you need to sit and calm the fuck down. Democracy in Indonesia is running in full swing. Think about it. We still have elections, even better than America. We have 3 presidential candidates. Is that not what you social justice advocates want? A working democracy? Of course, some of those candidates are the result of a meticulous political process, and that's perfectly fine. We also have more than 2 parties that we can choose. There is no limit into the political parties that you can make, and at some point of our history, we had more than 40 political parties. This was in a time when Indonesia started flirting with democracy. Compared to the 2 parties in America and 1 party in China, and then a permanent coalition in Malaysia that essentially acts as a 3 different party, I'd say our options are still fair. So democracy is still alive and well in Indonesia. We are far away from the demise of democracy that people have been making a fuss about, ignorant of the actual political process that happens outside the naked eye. And what political process is that? The fact that Gelora has shot the Prabowo coalition on the leg. Yes, if we recall a few days back, Gelora and the brand new Labour Party were the ones who appealed to the Constitutional Court, a move that would put the entire Prabowo coalition into jeopardy. The Constitutional Court has ruled that the political parties would have to accumulate just about 7.5% of votes instead of 20% in order to push forth their own regional candidates. This move surely begs the question to many coalition members. Why are they still there in the first place when they can just churn out their own candidates? And of course, it is no secret that the unspoken pact between Jokowi and Prabowo entails Gerindra having a say to all coalition-related affairs. However, the parliament didn't fulfill the minimum attendance, and so the session of the day after was disbanded due to the lack of members of parliament attending. Now, the question beckons, why didn't they attend? Beats me. Politicians are people too. They have needs and vices, right? Now, if we look at the Parliament of Indonesia, there are 575 members of parliament. And to fulfill that minimum attendance, there needs to be at least 288 members, which is half of it. Now, PDIP is the largest party in the parliament with 128 seats. So if PDIP opposes this motion, they would still have enough for a parliament session to continue with 447 members. The draft regional election laws cannot be reviewed and put into effect because there are less than 288 members. Which means this move to pass a law in 2 days is so stupid that members of the Prabowo coalition in the parliament itself refuse to take part in. This is what we in the Right Indonesian mean when democracy isn't dead yet. Now we protest in the street, start fights with good police officers out there who's just doing their job, vandalize public property, and cause massive amounts of traffic congestions for people who just want to go home and see their families. But we forget that even parliament members are also capable of protesting themselves. This is the problem with our country today, ladies and gentlemen. We often act without seeing whether or not our reaction was proportionate to the situation. The Right Indonesian do not discourage the protest. We believe it is a part of a process of running a full-on democracy. And a protest where you don't have to take over or take bullets is a sign of a working democracy. But we question whether or not protesting would fix whatever the issue is in the first place, when the issue would solve itself. And let me open a can of worms for you. People here are literally calling for a revolution to happen. It is still surprising that some people here are willing to go through a French Revolution in order to cleanse the country from corruption. If you want a revolution, go watch Les Mis. The overzealous activists have lost themselves and are beyond reasoning. Indonesia is still a very stable country. People can still find work and people can still feed their families. We are rich in resources and rich in food that everywhere you go, pecel, warteg, or naspad is just around the corner. There is zero reason that we should guillotine our politician, and some of those politicians are actually doing God's work out there. For the red flags in Indonesia, I'm speaking directly to you. Indonesia is a stable country. It is a free country and a democratic society. In between your protest, you can still live. So we don't need any form of socialism or communism here. Time and time again, history has proven that communism is inherently flawed, and every country that has adopted it is bound to fail. Any country that calls themselves communist now but is rich and progressive is a capitalist country in all but name and form. So keep your filthy hands off my Pancasila. And on that note, we should always keep an eye out and an open mind to those that are out to disintegrate our national unity and Pancasila. Heat of the moments, like a few days ago, was a prime example of miscommunication and incompetence that spiraled into utter chaos, injuring 26 students who fought in the belief that our democracy is in peril. When all of this could have been avoided if there was a healthy amount of transparency and communication between our leaders. This is Konco Negoro in the Right Indonesian, and I will see you in the next fix.